What's going on, everybody? This is JSR. Today is September 20th, 2020, and I haven't made a collection video in quite some time. This certainly will not be a very fancy or edited one, but there have been some new changes to my setup, mostly due to streaming. Either way, I thought today would be a good opportunity to make a video showing the setup as it looks today, both as a memento for myself and for anyone who may be curious about the collection that I have. And there's a lot to it. I'll start with the stream setup, and that's for anyone who's curious. And this is actually what I see when I am streaming. Got my mic on a swivel mic stand. There's my television. I currently have Pronzo going and Arcus in another tab. There's my other two monitors. They're all hooked up to that PC in the corner. It's an old beast, but she does the job. And that's where I usually read chat, and that's where I play. And there's my NES and my twin Famicom. I have them close so that I can easily reset. And don't mind the cables for the controllers and the input readers. There's a lot of them. It's usually a mess going on. But this is my setup, and then all of my consoles, with the exception of these three, my TurboGrafx Mini, my NES, HDMI, and my Virtual Boy. Everything else is modded and ready to go at a moment's notice. And through the glass, you can see a Nintendo 64 RGB. Let me open this up. You might be able to see it a little bit easier. And then, if it'll focus, there you go. A TurboGrafx 16 RGB. Or no, it has the Super ST System 3. A Panasonic 3DO, the only console in this cabinet that's not RGB. That is just S-Video. An Atari 2600 with an Harmony cart. Oh, by the way, this has a EverDrive. Super NES RGB with SD to SNES. An Atari Jaguar. Turbo Duo RGB modded. And a Philips CDI RGB modded. And if I go to the other side, got a PlayStation 1. I'll just open this up. It'll be a little easier to see. PlayStation 1 RGB modded. Or outputting RGB, I should say. Xbox doing components. Dreamcast with the karaoke stand. Pretty cool stuff. That just outputs VGA, and then I use a converter box to RGB. PlayStation 2. GameCube. Those both output component. Sega Saturn, that outputs RGB, and then finally my Sega Genesis collection. Get a flash going so you can actually see that. Oh, and my Wii. But it's a little dusty, so forgive that. But that's my everything's hooked up and working, and that has an EverDrive as well. And that's all hooked up via these switches. Let me turn the flash on again. These are my RGB switches and my FrameMeister. It's all kind of dusty up here because I don't get in here very often. And then there's my RGB to component converter, which is hooked up to this television, which, as you can see, it's pretty good quality. Let me see if I can focus a bit and get real close to those pixels. Get real close. Looks pretty good. It's all out of focus. And it's all hooked up. Right now it's hooked up to this NES. And then I have EverDrives for both of these. So the backdrop you see when I stream is pretty much this. The calendar is super out of date. I just keep it because it's got a bunch of stuff on it that I have as memories. And all of my wall of stickers, I don't have very many, but every time I get a sticker from a streamer or from somebody I know, I like to stick it on the wall. I'd like to put a little bit more. Some perlers, some collectibles. And then here's my Xbox 360 games. I mean, that's not a very collectible thing, but at the bottom is my Super Famicom games. I have a couple rare ones, but nothing specifically noteworthy. My Zelda Wii U gamepad, my Master Sword from my Breath of the Wild, my Vectrex, which is pretty cool. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but I kind of like it. I have it on display just as kind of like a a visual piece. And then some stuff I've received from people like this I got from Boof and Boom. This I got from Jam. This is my Tecate beer can. This I got from, well, thanks to Overswarm. And a few other things as well. My collection of Zelda Player's Guides. That's actually pretty cool stuff. These are hard to find. They don't make these anymore. And they're all hardcover all the way through from Ocarina of Time to Breath of the Wild, pretty much. Trying to zoom out a little bit so you can see them better, but it's kind of tough. My Sega CD games, couple nice ones in there. You know, a couple nice ones, specifically one or two. And then my Sega Master System games. Alpha's the only one that's really of note in there. It's pretty rare. And then these guys, the Police Knots is a repro, and then obviously these are just limited run games. I do not, unfortunately, have Panzer Dragoon Saga. I do want to get it, but don't have it yet. But some decent titles. My NES games, and you can see all these titles if you go on my RF Generation page. But there's some good ones in there. There's a couple repros. My Little Samson is a repro. My Bonk's Adventure is a repro, and then obviously my Nintendo World Championships cart right there is a repro. But everything else is legit. I think. Do I have any other repros? I mean, I have like the Earthbound repro right there. And then I have a couple of limited run games, like these Star Wars games. I actually don't own the original Star Wars, so I just have repros of that. N64, I have a lot. And then Super NES. I'm annoyed that it's kind of hard to display these carts to show their end labels, but unfortunately there's not really a way to do so easily. So I just kind of rock them like that. They're in alphabetical order. I have a few nice ones. I have Super Bowling. Trying to think what I have on N64 that's like super rare. I have Super Bowling. I have some rare ones, but there's not a lot of N64 that's like super duper rare outside of like Clay Fighter, which I have a repro of, and then like Worms Armageddon. I think I have Worms Armageddon. Do I have Worms Armageddon? I think I do. It's down here somewhere. I don't know. Those are tight. I'm not going to get them out. Oh God, sorry for the focus. Camera. There you go. My Game & Watches, my Power Glove, and my Zelda Light, which is pretty cool. I used to turn this on for the stream, but when I decided to move my camera, you can't see it anymore. I like it. It's cool to have on. It's just unfortunately not in the camera. I do want to move it to there at some point, and I probably should just do that. Maybe I'll do that for tonight's stream. Who knows? My mini consoles. I don't have a Sega Genesis Mini yet. I want to get one. And then just a couple trinkets, some amiibos, some statues, my Hyrule Warriors Triforce clock. And then the only two remaining Pokemon cards from my childhood collection that I found. All the rest are gone. And then that Zelda card, some complete unboxed consoles. And then finally, my Nintendo Switch collection. Again, if you want to see which titles I have, and then my PS4 games down there, you can go to my RF Generation page. But I have a lot of Switch games, obviously. Most of these are because they're limited run prints. Like, Limited Run Games has done a lot of prints of Switch games, and I've been collecting them. At one point, I was trying to get all of them, but then I gave up on that because they started printing so many, and I ended up just getting the ones I wanted at that point. And then just modern consoles down there, nothing special. Xbox 360 or Xbox One, Xbox 360, Switch, PS4, PS3. So that's the stream area of the room. This is pretty much where, whenever I'm watching streams, this is where I kick it. And it's a cool setup. It does what I need it to do, and it does a good job. A couple other things, like my replica Master Sword and some stuff like that. And now we get to the cool stuff. I love this part. We'll start with this shelf up here. There's nothing noteworthy per se. I mean, the golf story is relatively rare. Those books come from Hyrule Warriors special editions that are pretty rare. That scarf comes from that as well. They were only released in Japan. They're pretty rare. My backwards compatible PS3, I've never actually powered it on since I tested it. I've tested it one time, it worked, and I've never touched it since. I really don't want to. I kind of like having the old firmware on it and leaving it as is. That is... Where's my finger? There it is. That is my original Nintendo Power from when I was a little kid. And you can tell I manhandled the living ever hell out of it when I was a kid. It is very beat up. It's probably valueless, but for me it's very valuable, and I love to be able to have that on display and just show people. I still have my original copy of Nintendo Power issue 1 that I bought later in life. Couple Famicom things to show. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe I'll just open this window up. There we go. That is a real gimmick. And my original childhood, I forgot about that. My original childhood Zelda 1 manual, what's left of it. It's kind of neat to have a couple of those things. Famicom keyboard, pretty cool stuff. Famicom data recorder, and a working Famicom disk system. It does work. I replaced the belt on it. It works great, actually. This is a composite modded Famicom. I don't use it very often because I have a twin Fami that's RGB modded, but I do like having it. My childhood Earthbound big box, which I adore that I still have this. Most of my childhood games, the boxes ended up in the dumpster somewhere or in the trash somewhere. When my dad moved out of our old childhood home, he found that, and by then I was collecting games, and I was so thrilled that he still had that with the player's guide and the stickers and everything. And it's almost in mid condition because it sat in a closet for like 15 years. And now it's in my possession again, and it's very valuable. That box by itself raises the copy of my Earthbound copy's value up to probably close to $1,000. So I'm very grateful to have that. My childhood Zelda Link to the Past player's guide. And then my Super Famicom with Satellaview, and I do have the box and all the inserts for that. And then my 64 disc drive with the very rare Nintendo 64 mouse. This obviously is not rare, but this is very, very rare. Pretty pricey. My Rob, my Little Red Hood, and yes, my Panasonic Q. Sorry, I'm trying to sit down as I'm filming this. This is beautiful. I bought this from another speedrunner, Simple Dude. Works. There's not very many of these that work. This one works. It's not modded. It's completely stock. I thought about modding it and using it, but I kind of like the idea of having it as a display piece. It's very valuable. I have the box and inserts for this as well. And then my Action 52 cart, my Rob, and then my Little Red Hood, which is signed by world record holder Skateman222. My Jack Bros is kind of hiding in the corner back there. And that's everything I have in this case. I got this case from Pronzo when he moved to Seattle a couple years ago. And I love this thing. Done all my Nintendo Labo or whatever it's called down there. Just so I have them nearby, because I don't know if I'm ever going to play them. Honestly, I could probably put those in the closet. A couple Zelda boxes for my complete in box Zelda stuff. Like those shelves used to have collectibles on them. And then I rearranged, and I just have never put anything else on them. I actually don't know what I'm going to do with these, because this is where my gaming setup used to be. This used to be here. And I used to have a couch right here, and you could watch and play games right here before I started streaming. And obviously when I started streaming, my internet connection's way over there. Plus, I wanted to be able to use the big screen and have my setup in the living room for more space. So I ended up moving it into here, and it's been there for almost 4 years now. So these are some of my other stuff. This is my GDQ badges collection. Every GDQ I've ever been to in person, including GDQ-X where I had runs, and then AGDQ 2018 where I had runs, my old JSR2 Gamers name. I have a runner badge there, but I was just doing commentary for that. And then my cart, which is signed by almost every sub 30 runner, or somebody who may end up sub 30 at some point, and a few other people in the Zelda 1 community. Very, very cool gray cart. It works. I've done all my GDQ Zelda runs on this cart. I used to run on this cart, exclusively, but now it's just chilling. I need to get the updated LAC PB on there, and of course, I don't know, maybe get a few other signatures on there at some point. But yes, I love that. It's one of my most cherished possessions. Then a couple trinkets that I have. My Shenmue. Oh, this is my Zelda Breath of the Wild. This thing is cool. It's It's got the Spirit Orbs in it and a few other cool things in it. This is a rare limited run thing that I got. My Shenmue 3, part of my Shenmue 3 Kickstarter. There's supposedly more coming. I never got what I paid for, I'm pretty sure, so I'm kind of upset about that, but whatever. And then my part of my Steel Battalion joystick, which is cool. I have the pedals over there. And then my other games. I'll step back so you can see the shelf of doom. 4 Walmart shelves put together. Sorry, the fan's kind of in the way. Let me see if I can move that real quick. And I can just make one nice shot. That might not be enough. Yeah, that should be enough. All right. Game Boy and Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, all up there in custom cases. Nintendo DS is all up there. Nintendo Wii. Third-party NES titles. Those are all third-party NES titles. I have some rare ones in there like Secret Scout, Sunday Funday, Bible Adventures, a few others, including the infamous Wally Bear Cart. This is the infamous Wally Bear Cart. This game is worth $70. PS2 is probably the game console that I have the most of over here. In fact, it is. Those are all PS2 games. I have a few rare ones in there, but nothing crazy. Honestly, for these consoles, most of my collection has come from Goodwill hunts. I haven't bought a lot of these games on these shelves and this shelf. Like, a lot of those have just come from game hunts. Game Gear. A lot of these games were gifts from Keith Not Keith. I did buy a few, but most of those were gifts from Keith Not Keith, and I got custom cases made for it. Xbox One. A couple raries in there, but not a lot. Let me get low for this Genesis. I do have some loose Genesis cards, and then I have obviously complete and box cards. Nothing particularly rare. Streets of Rage 3 is pretty pricey, but I had the Ultra Core, which is a limited run game from Strictly Limited. That's about it, really. There's nothing in there that's like particularly rare. Nintendo 3DS and my Famicom 3D system, which works. It's sick. My Wii U. Axiom Verge is probably the only game in there, besides Bayonetta 1, that's rare. The rest of them, DuckTales is kind of rare. The rest of them are pretty much just standard. I mean, there's not a lot in here that's special. It's just Wii U games, I guess. Famicom. I don't want to pull them out, but there's a couple in there that are pretty rare. Like Akamajo Densetsu. This is my, sorry, it's kind of tight. That is, I didn't realize how tightly packed that was. My Lagrange point that is modded by Voltaire. That copy of Lagrange point has the English patch. So it's the original game with all the original chips, but has the sound chip, or the English ROM, and then N64 Japanese, and Xbox One, and a Virtual Boy in custom cases. And there's my Atari Lynx, which is modded. Gift from Random Effect. It's modded to output VGA RGB. Finally, just a couple things over here. A couple collector's editions. My 3DS is hiding back there. My 3DS is modded for capture. And then just a couple of trinkets. Most of my portable consoles, some Vectrex games, my Atari 2600 games, and my Gamecom games, and then my pedals for my Steel Battalion. My Pip-Boy and PS3 games. There's a few reasonably rare PS3 games in here, but for the most part, PS3 isn't really rare yet. There's a couple limited run games in there, and then a couple games that probably will be pricey at some point. And then down at the bottom, you've got some big box games, 3DO, PlayStation 32X. And then, come over here. This is my kitchen. My living room, kitchen, and stream room are all pretty much one larger room. You got this cool Shenmue 3 box that lights up. You turn on. Where's the switch? Where's the switch? Oh, it's way at the bottom. Little light box that lights up. It's pretty cool. Pretty neat if you ask me. This was a gift card from Redbird Grad that I saved. He sent me some gifts. And then my GameCube games. Again, if you want to see what titles I have, you can't see them on video, you can go to my RF Generation page. Finally, PlayStation 1, Dreamcast. Sorry, it's kind of tight right here. So, Dreamcast, 64DD, FDS, Intellivision, Philips CDI, Japanese